You're about to step into one of the wildest debates on the internet, but don't laugh just yet. I'm a wildlife researcher, and after more than 20 years working in the African jungles, I've seen a silverback gorilla rise to its full height, roar, and make even a herd of young elephants clear the way. So when someone asks me, could 100 average men defeat a silverback gorilla, I don't laugh, I think, because this isn't just a ridiculous question. It's a window into something deeper, a clash between natural strength and human intellect, between instinctive survival and strategic teamwork. And once you truly understand what a gorilla is, not the zoo version, but the untamed force of nature, you start to realize 100 men might not be enough. In the gorilla's corner, a force of nature like no other. Let's get something straight. A silverback gorilla isn't just strong, it redefines what strength means in the natural world. Raw, untamed strength. I've watched a silverback in Rwanda flip a 200-kilo log with a single arm, not out of anger, but just to get to some grubs underneath. Scientists estimate a silverback can lift over 1,800 kilograms for 1,000 pounds. That's more than 5 times what the strongest human has ever deadlifted. And unlike a human powerlifter who trains in a gym, a gorilla does this without warm-ups, without effort, and without even thinking about it. Explosive muscle power. Gorillas are packed with fast-twitch muscle fibers, which are made for sudden bursts of power. When they charge, it's not just fast, it's like watching a freight train launch from 0 to 25 miles per hour in a jungle clearing. You blink, and it's on you. Bite force that breaks bone. With a bite force of 1,300 psi, a silverback's jaws are powerful enough to crush a coconut like it's a grape. Now imagine that pressure on a human limb, or worse, a skull. Their jaws are built not just for chewing bark and stems, but for defending their troop with terrifying efficiency. Nature's built-in arsenal. Their arms stretch nearly 8 feet across, with hands the size of dinner plates. Combine that with sharp canines, a thick muscular neck, and an instinct to protect, and you have an animal that's biologically engineered to dominate its environment. This isn't aggression for sport, it's for survival, and they're extremely good at it. Surprising speed and agility. Don't be fooled by the bulky frame. I've seen silverbacks scale trees and leap across ravines with shocking grace. On flat ground, they can sprint up to 25 miles per hour, meaning they'd outrun most humans before we even figured out which direction to run. My professional take, if it's one man, 5 men, even 10. The gorilla wins every time. I've seen what happens when a wild animal thinks its family is threatened. And trust me, you don't want to be in front of a silverback when he enters that mode. Now, 100 men, that's a different beast entirely, and we'll get there. But let's not underestimate what one wild gorilla truly is. A perfect storm of raw power, primal instinct, and evolutionary refinement. In the human corner, our greatest weapon isn't muscle, it's mind. When it comes to raw power, humans don't stand a chance against a silverback. But here's the twist. We've never been nature's strongest species, yet we became the dominant one. Why? Because we're the most intelligent, coordinated, and adaptive. Strategy over strength. Unlike animals, humans can plan, think ahead, and adapt on the fly. In a confrontation with a gorilla, brute force alone won't cut it, but tactics might. Picture this: groups of men rotating in shifts, distracting the gorilla, while others approach from behind with makeshift tools or coordinated maneuvers. In theory, even average people, if properly organized, could wear down the beast, not by overpowering it, but by outsmarting it. Endurance, the hidden human superpower. Here's something most people overlook. Humans are among the best endurance runners in the animal kingdom. That's right, our ancestors literally ran prey into exhaustion. Gorillas, on the other hand, are built for short bursts of intense energy. Over time, and especially without rest, a gorilla can fatigue, and when fatigue sets in, even the king of the jungle becomes vulnerable. Strength in numbers, but only if united. 100 people might seem chaotic, but don't underestimate the physics. That's over 7,000 kilograms, 15,000 pounds of combined mass. Even if each man is average in size and strength, the potential for collective pressure, dogpile tactics, and tool use creates an edge. Think of a rugby scrum or a military formation. When humans coordinate, we become something greater than individuals. The human weakness, fear and chaos. But let me be honest, I've studied wild animals, and I've also seen how humans react under pressure. Getting 100 people to act calmly and collectively in the face of a charging, roaring gorilla is not just hard, it's almost impossible without leadership and discipline. If even a few panic, that fear spreads like wildfire, breaking formation and turning a strategy into a stampede. If this scenario were a real encounter minus 100 unarmed, average men versus one enraged silverback, it would be a bloodbath, at least at first. But if those 100 acted like a unit, using strategy, taking turns, and leveraging human ingenuity, they might just survive. Not win cleanly, not without casualties, but survive. Still, it would be a grim and chaotic affair. And as someone who has stood within feet of a silverback in the wild, I can tell you, facing one should never be a goal, only a lesson in humility. So, who wins? The truth isn't that simple. As someone who has studied primates in the wild and witnessed the raw presence of a silverback up close, I can tell you, this hypothetical isn't just about muscle or math. It's about instinct versus intelligence, chaos versus coordination, and nature versus numbers. If these 100 average men charged blindly, like a panicked mob, it would be a massacre. The gorilla, with its explosive speed and devastating strength, would plow through them like a wrecking ball. In the first few minutes alone, dozens could be injured, some fatally, before the beast even began to tire. But if, and it's a big if, those 100 humans acted like a coordinated unit, things change. Imagine a scenario where they rotate in waves, flank from multiple sides, use simple tools like nets, ropes, or poles, and exploit the gorilla's lack of endurance. Over time, fatigue would set in for the gorilla. Its initial dominance would begin to wane, and slowly, perhaps painfully, the tide could turn. But let's not romanticize this. It wouldn't be heroic, it wouldn't be clean. And it definitely wouldn't be easy. There would be chaos, injuries, and probably casualties. You're talking about an apex primate that can bite with 1,300 psi, throw a grown man like a ragdoll, and sprint faster than most of us can react. This isn't a fair fight, it's a desperate gamble. Victory is possible, yes, but only under perfect human coordination, with leadership, planning, and a whole lot of luck. But in the real world, where fear takes over, where average people don't train for combat or wild encounters, the gorilla wins decisively. So perhaps the better question isn't could we beat a gorilla, but why would we ever try? Would you like a dramatic conclusion that wraps up the debate with a reflective message about our relationship with nature? The real fight isn't in the ring, it's for their survival. Let's be honest, the image of 100 men squaring off against a single silverback gorilla is as entertaining as it is absurd. It sparks curiosity, fuels debate, and maybe even makes us laugh. But once the dust settles, there's a deeper, more important truth we can't ignore. Gorillas are not monsters. They are gentle giants, highly intelligent, emotionally complex, and deeply social animals. In their natural forest homes, silverbacks lead their families with calm authority, not violence. Most confrontations are settled with displays, not bloodshed. A chest beat, a stare, a show of power, it's about protecting, not destroying. But while we debate fantasy battles, real battles are being fought in the wild, and the gorillas are losing. Every day, their forests shrink due to deforestation. Poaching, disease, illegal mining, all of it pushes these magnificent creatures closer to extinction. Mountain gorillas, for example, once numbered in the mere hundreds. They've made a comeback thanks to conservation efforts, but their survival is still hanging by a thread. Here's what I believe, as someone who has watched a silverback peacefully guide his troop through mist-covered mountains. The question we should be asking isn't could we beat one. It's do we deserve them, and are we doing enough to keep them here? If this debate gets people talking, that's great. But let's channel that energy into education, preservation, and respect. Because the real victory is not in proving who's stronger. It's in ensuring we never have to imagine a world without gorillas. As the debate rages on in the virtual world, let's pause and reflect on the real-world impact we can have. Because here's the truth, this hypothetical battle between 100 men and a silverback gorilla is just that, hypothetical. But the loss of gorillas in the wild is real, and it's happening right now. So, how do we shift our focus from pointless competition to meaningful action? Education and awareness. The first step. The first step in protecting gorillas, and all wildlife, is awareness. When we see gorillas depicted as monsters in media, we create a perception that they are dangers to be feared, not treasures to be protected. Education plays a crucial role in dispelling these myths. By teaching people about the complex emotional lives of gorillas, their deep bonds with family, their intelligence, and their ability to problem solve, we can help foster empathy and respect for them as living beings, not mere props in a debate. Conservation efforts. A vital lifeline. The truth is that while we sit in the comfort of our homes debating absurd scenarios, real-life conservationists are on the ground fighting to protect gorillas from habitat loss, poaching, and human-wildlife conflict. Organizations like the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund, World Wildlife Fund WWF, and local African wildlife authorities are working tirelessly to safeguard gorilla populations. Supporting these efforts, whether through donations, volunteering, or simply spreading awareness, is one of the most direct ways to contribute to the survival of these majestic animals. Supporting legislation for conservation. One of the most powerful tools we have at our disposal is advocacy. Governments play a key role in protecting wildlife through legislation and policy. By supporting laws that enforce anti-poaching measures, preserve critical habitats, and reduce human-wildlife conflict, we can ensure a future for gorillas and other endangered species. This is a battle that requires global cooperation, as the survival of species like gorillas isn't confined to one nation's borders, it's a shared responsibility across the planet. Sustainable practices. The future of our planet. Another vital aspect of ensuring gorillas' survival is the protection of their natural habitats. Deforestation and illegal mining have wreaked havoc on gorilla populations, and it's our responsibility to demand sustainable practices from industries. Whether it's the palm oil we consume, the timber we use, or the minerals we mine, every action we take as consumers impacts the environment. By supporting businesses and industries that commit to sustainability and ethical practices, we are taking part in the preservation of habitats that are crucial for the survival of gorillas and countless other species. A personal reflection. What can we do? Personally, I have witnessed the quiet dignity of silverbacks in the wild. I have watched as they navigate their dense jungle homes with wisdom and calm, guiding their troops with a sense of security that only a silverback can provide. Their presence is a humbling reminder that the real strength lies not in raw power or dominance, but in a deep connection to family, the land, and the ecosystem. If you've ever been moved by the majesty of these creatures, or if you've read about their near extinction and felt a pang of sadness, now is the time to act. We all have a role to play in protecting the gorillas, from simple daily choices to larger-scale efforts like supporting conservation programs and advocating for stricter environmental protection laws. It's easy to forget that our world is fragile, that every living being, no matter how strong or large, is susceptible to the dangers that come from human interference. So as we shift the focus of this debate from a fictional fight to a very real challenge, remember this. The true battle is not against the gorillas, it's with ourselves, and whether we are willing to be the guardians of this planet, ensuring that future generations can witness these magnificent animals in their full glory, not as a memory, but as living, breathing beings in the wild. Let's make sure that when we look back at this time, we can say we fought the right battle for the survival of the gorillas and for the preservation of the natural world that sustains us all. If you love fascinating stories about wildlife and want to learn more about how to protect incredible animals like gorillas, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By hitting the subscribe button, you won't miss any videos on the wild world, conservation, and exciting debates like this one. Let's spread the message of protecting nature and the amazing creatures we need to safeguard. Thank you for joining us.